Tanibulisa nonke and welcome you all to my first episode of IZibhuda podcast. And namhlanje ngihleli notamncinci umjoli uqublashe. We'll be talking more about the matters that are happening up in South Africa. So he will share with us because he's a legend, OG, so gay, like brace yourself for fire content. Unjani tamncinci njani?
Khona tata kunjani?
Philile tamncinci. And ngifuna tamncinci ba ushare by kunjani like how did you choose okay when uye kule road uzolwela like to be part of the Congress and stuff zonke ezazinto zomkhulu le ANC ba like waqala kanjani uthando lwakho for izinto ezinjalo
tam? I'm finishing 43 years today, this year in the African National Congress, and I've been elected last year to be the chairperson of the Veterans League in the OR Tambo region. I was supposed to be in East London because we're having a provincial conference of the Veterans League, but because of ill health, yesterday, I couldn't go there. This started around 1978 when I was doing in fact, it started in 1976 when I was doing Standard 7 at Mvumelwano Qumbu, because of the influence of the 1976 uprisings in Soweto. You may recall that this started in Soweto, but it spread all over the country. It went to Port Elizabeth, places like East London, Cape Town. But it was very difficult then for us in the former Transkei, because it was a homeland to embark on these political related issues. Because if you remember, you may know, in 1976 was a very important year because of Soweto uprising, and in the Transkei on the 16th of June, it was Soweto uprising. They used to say Black Power. This Amanda was saying that it was Black Power. So in Transkei, a coincidence, on the 26th of October, they attained the Azimele, that is Transkei independence, the so-called one. And we couldn't be out in terms of supporting this student uprising, but because of the influence of students that were running from all over the country, going to Transkei, because Transkei and Ciskei were the homelands that were quiet.
So like sorry to interrupt you, like the Ndoye Soweto uprising and this struggle is in the true students
it was happening all over the country, but mostly in the former Transkei because of a brutality KD Matanzi. It was very difficult to be outside.
Eastern
to be out and say I'm supporting this uprising. Because the main issue was the question of Afrikaans, which was made to be an official language. The decree that was passed in 1973, it made Afrikaans to be the one of the languages because it used to be English.
The language
of
communication.
Students were resisting that. And although I had a different feeling in terms of Afrikaans, because I can't Afrikaans praat. Because I wanted to tell Amapolo that no, Afrikaans, but I don't like what you are doing.
I don't like what you're doing.
Like for instance, I was working with comrade Gwede Mandasha in Mines. It's a very good African speaker.
I can see in his interview.
It's very good African speaker. You can see Tata Mandela was also a very good African speaker. What I do, you see, you go to ideology, you do have your own ideology, but you need to own the ideology of everybody. Like in the meeting, you go to a meeting with your own ideas, but you come out of the meeting with the meeting's ideas. So it was basically that decree that was passed in 1973 that made the uprising. You remember ANC during those years, from 1970 up to 1976, there was a lull in terms of mobilization, mass mobilization of our people. But the Soweto uprising made South Africa to rise again.
Through that struggle that was fought in Soweto.
Because many students, like for instance, the Soweto uprising were led by our comrade let's say it's a Mashanini, which I understand at some point he was a Wesleyan, that is Methodist Church. He was not a guild. And was a very good speaker. So he's the person that mobilized more than 20,000 students that were involved. So your question was, how did you? I was influenced by those comrades that are coming from outside the country.
Okay.
Because I was a local. I knew everything there. So we started our underground activities because of that influence. In Kumbu.
It was deep. It was like you were also like facing these challenges even here in Kumbu, like them like in these audition Africans,
everything that Afrikaans decree was part of Bantu education.
Bantu education as a
whole. So they resisted this. But it helped us because although about 500 students died that were led by the late comrade Hector Peterson.
Yeah.
But about 500 of them died. So their blood nurtured our democracy.
And like I can see a lot of like young people like and like pain that you have to go through because like Tina's a bit fortunate because it's going to everything it's going but we're playing with these opportunities.
Absolutely. See what is happening now. It's very difficult. And another thing, what we need to influence, especially as the Veterans League, is to influence the question of education. Like for instance, we've already started with Metisatu in terms of saying, no, we need to go to schools. And the Ningafundi history says what what was it that was happening. Like for instance, when you're talking of the remainder of 1976 students, I'm part of it.
You're part of
I'm part of it because I was influential. It's when I joined the ANC. You know, when you join the Veterans League, you need to be more than 60 years of age and 40 years unbroken service. That is what when you count from 1976 up to now, I've got about 43 years in the ANC.
Yeah, that's deep.
Unbroken service.
That's deep. What I wanted to ask you like is that when since like you've been fighting and you've been in this struggle for these years, like how do you feel about the change like that's happening right now, even in the political parties that we have in SA? Like, is this still that fight? They still holding that thing? Okay, like we're still like maintaining SA is like say
no, absolutely not. You know, we have got many gains in this revolution. Like for instance, the development that is happening. Like for instance, I can quote the question of electricity now. Load shedding. You know, when I grew up, electricity was for the privileged people. Like I'm a Polish farmer.
Yeah.
But the capacity of electricity was not meant. I'm analyzing to you what is happening in terms of load shedding now. The capacity of electricity of the supply or the grid was not meant to benefit everybody.
Okay.
You can say now it is benefiting of everybody.
Yeah.
But the source where we're getting electricity was not extended. That is the first thing we do to electricity. Save the fact that there is a lot of corruption in terms of, like for instance, you get some contractors saying that they don't have any contract now maintenance. They go and disturb electricity so that they can get those contracts. There's a lot of money that has been misused for territory corruption. And the what is happening now is something we learned about. Like for instance, there was Dr. Neil Barnett. Neil Barnett, it's a special branch. What is how if I just how cancer Singabelungu, we're going to infiltrate localities, infiltrate bazaars, shops, infiltrate electricity. That's what is happening now. But uzawufika abantu bekhathele into edibene ANC. And thina sibadala we know uba kwenzeka ntoni. It's not that all the leaders are genuine in terms of saying they need to fight this resolution. Hence you'll remember utata umdala uTambo had a stroke, SSL Backwin. That stroke was caused by the fact that he knew that the ANC was infiltrated externally. Amapolo sent their own people there, hence we talk of the Askaris and everybody back on. So what is happening is not the making of the African National Congress.
Okay, now it's the making of the white people.
It's making of the white people. You can see now. We in South Africa were a springboard of political turmoil because of the West versus the East. You see, if you get international politics, West versus the East, you'll go to America. They've got the biggest reserves of it, diamond and the gold, platinum, and everything. But abana
that's the I just learned that when you video that they say like in Germany, for example, kids there are taught about mining from a young age. Okay, cool. There's a subject that's called mining there, but they don't have any resources in that country because that when they graduate and Germany, they'll come in South Africa with all the papers that they own everything, so they can come and mine our things here. So the thing in South Africa, I would like you to go into this, but why South Africa tina like umzekelo singenazo subject ezinjalo okay abantwana bethu siba teaching mining siba teaching
this is the outcome of what was known as a Bantu education. This is the outcome of what was known as a Bantu education. Xa kwakuvulwa into esithiwa separate development ngexesha lo Foster, it separate development also mainly affected the education. If you kill a country using education, that country definitely is going to die.
It could be.
That's what is happening. So in South Africa, we were taught to, like for instance, people are teachers, policemen, and everything. Kwakuthathwa le misebenzi khona uba ngathi is a daily job.
Yeah, msebenzi.
Like for instance, I must take my example. For an example myself, Mvumelwano Junior Secondary School, we were taught agriculture. I had a plot ekhaya ndikhule kulinyo practical
lenziwa
kusikiwa kumbona dilima ikapeli no everything esikolweni. It was not education, it was a means of punishment.
Punishment
when you go to agriculture. Eyami plot nango esefufutshane neclassroom amakhwenkwe ichamela ethini xa ufike late esikolweni upanishwa ngayo. It's now that we realize that agriculture is the core is the core economic driver for us in South Africa. You can see now sineenkukhu esizodayo uve kuthiwa kwi-Cornish kukho zo IQ zonke sine dumping site in South Africa. We don't grow our own organic grown chicken, vegetable and everything. So yenziwa ngabom le nto yemfundo ubana like for instance you've got graduates now like for instance you've graduated now. But where are you going to work? Because akanga uthathe le trend yoba you must be taught how to produce something. The education we're having is the education that is encouraging students to look for employment, not to be the creators of employment.
I agree, but it's actually going that way because Songe were thought to be like employees, to think like an employee.
We are going to be employed. Like for instance, we've got a man-made COVID that was made by African whites. COVID, if you have better where are we going to work? Because the rate of unemployment now, you know, I had an opportunity of starting in Sweden. When I was starting in Sweden in 1999, the rate of unemployment was 3% then.
In
Sweden. Now it may happen that it's approaching about 5 to 6%. Because of these refugees that are coming from countries like Syria, Chile, all this fighting, Yugoslavia, Nicaragua, but bona approach yabo, education yabo, it's people based and people centered. Sweden, yeah. Thina apha sifundiswa uba siye esikolweni ufundiswa iBhayibhile uba ngumfundisi. Ufundiswa history that is not relevant.
Awuzisebenza ntule nitentelwa lapho.
Absolutely, that is the problem.
And then is like how do you feel about the abantu abamove out from South Africa to go and start life elsewhere, like ngoku since in those lapha. How do you feel about that thing? Okay, like you have to have a passport and go look for a job elsewhere because sekunje lapha.
Yeah, the problem is the question here, kuthiwa yintoni laa nto le iyadraina idraina i-human resource esinayo because abantu kuthiwa i-brain drain idraina abantu bezawuncedisa
abantu
develop in South
abazosebenza
Africa, but they cannot remain in South Africa if there are no prospects of becoming and utilizing their skills. That is the problem. It's draining the country in as far as human resources.
Tata like production, like creativity.
Absolutely.
Yeah, elsewhere.
Absolutely.
Okay, I know with them. And anything years about the thing about ANC, people are saying like ANC has been divided currently because like it's like Kwabo and ANC are not agreeing with each other. So like what's like we not affect why Indians in South Africa because of the leadership out there, as long as they look in within the party. So
the experience I'm having, especially, and I know and I read about all the liberation movements in Africa, hence I talked about the question of infiltration by Barnett. Hence I talked about the question of America trying by all means. Like for instance, America is not a signatory with ICC. Kodwa uyefuna ulawule ICC bawuputhi ngangeza South Africa. So that experience in 28 years, graph in the first year liberation, if you got your own freedom, new graph. But got 25 years, it's gradually going down. The problem is once when I'm people become greedy. They forget about the objective of that particular liberation movement. I'm talking about the countries as Jogoma, it go to Zambia. You go to Zimbabwe, you try an error method. You go across the ability. Nalapa go to South Africa, but with the coming BRICS program, denial hope you will only changes our corner because you will never have anything right is America. I'm saying that again. You will never have. You remember go 1884 we scrambled for Africa where these countries met in Germany but as Spain discussing about division of Africa. Hence wafika pathina sasezi colonies zabangesi abanye bezi colonies oma France oma Spain. So sifike kwi Africa that was divided intentionally by these countries. So it's going to be very difficult for us now to say siyayimanyanisa iAfrica, siyayimanyanisa iSouth Africa. I-ANC nayo it has its own enemies outside the country, and partly ANC was infiltrated. Inside, when we were working underground, we were infiltrated. Utata unansika ulendo utata ixesha elide kokole ANC utata uTambo wabuya nestroke benchilo ku ngenxa ye frustrations ezikhona within the ANC. So we are having a problem with the ANC, but ke kuyaliwa kulwana ngemali because imali omivana ngemali bathule. Their conferences are said where ANC is supposed to be a people-centered and people-driven organization. Ngoku kusebenza imali nasenanske amandla kasekho amasebenzi. Kusebenza imali. But nonetheless thina sibadala ke siyayibona uba i-ANC is infiltrated. But awukwazi ke, you can't say if you wash the baby, you take the baby with those dirty waters plus the washing basin and you throw it out. You take only the baby ulrepishe ngetowel wake up uchitha amanzi. That is our belief. That the ANC we're having rotten people, but inside we need to fight absolutely. So we talk now of the organizational renewal, whereby we say we're devising strategies on how to renew the African National Congress, because the African National Congress is the only organization that abantu bayayazi, they have got a trust on it, and it was formed by the traditional leaders, by abefundisi and everybody. So it's the ANC is the gem of the communities.
Of the community of South.
So now we can't, at my age, I cannot say I'm leaving the African Congress because it will be tantamount to leaving myself if I say. Absolutely. I know nothing else other than the ANC in as far as the liberation
lifestyle
is concerned. Yeah.
Okay, and Kolendo, like I've been reading about, okay, South Africa is actually like a company there in America, but like it's registered as a company because like most of our resources here in South Africa are sent up to America. So like there was this thing that, but in America we are registered as a company, but
no, that I'm not privy to that information, but I cannot deny it because people that are leading the ANC nowadays are unscrupulous. They can do that. But as somebody who is inside the ANC now, I can say the operations that are definitely like that because we used to say ANC is not for sale. But as I can see now, like for instance, ukube kuthetha upresident wethu we Veterans League ethi kungabhetele ukubana thina siyi-ANC towards 2024 sibe ne-alliance ne-DA. Webona xa usokho alliance ne-DA, when upper you vote for the ANC with a different perspective, with a different ideology, ne manifesto yabo. But when you go to inside the council, because abantu bafuna uhlala ezithubeni zabo, kuzothi la ideology bingawudibani ANC ne-DA kufuna udityaniswa zona. So I cannot run away from what you are saying. It may happen ANC ithengisiwe. Ewe bakhona abantu bayiphethelisa igqudu bafuna uyithengisa. But ke kuyanyanzeleka thina we need to sit and defend.
Yeah.
The ANC,
and go and kuthiwa like iZimbabwe actually started like this now. So ngento like iziqala ukwenzeka apha South Africa. These small things nesithatha like into ezincane like okay load shedding. Instead of okay simane sibasibuyela umbani, but kuthiwa like even iZimbabwe zaqala like this. Yonke laa nto yaqala chaos la inzile eZimbabwe yaqala kanje le nto inzile South Africa ngoku currently. So how do you feel about that?
The only thing that can be different from Zimbabwe and South Africa is because South Africa is diversified. You know, it's known as a rainbow nation.
Okay.
There are not only two nationalities.
Okay, like
if you go to Zimbabwe, kwamashona kukhona amandebele kukhona iphathi emaxhosa balwe bodwa kwa. Apha South Africa there are many countries that are having an interest because of its resources. Only so they cannot allow totally South Africa to collapse. Ayizikwazi because uzofika interest ekhona ngoku is that bafuna ukubenefita eSouth Africa, but what I like bafuna ungabikho stable politics. Once nga stable ANC basengxakini.
Good to you. And I have another question about the leadership that is like we see elections and go. And I was watching an interview with Julius Malema. Julius Malema was saying like if he like we are a part of money it's cool the pofu tuzophatha ngendlela thitha ngayo and yena uzo insist in like racism walinga nje wafumana opportunity pofu take yena say out there but 2024 like you have uzowina yonke lando yakhe but and uwina kwakhe na but you insist on racism yabo. And how do you feel about that lendlela thitha ngabo like once they wafumana isifunda pha yena
that is electioneering. You can't trust uJulius. uJulius uthetha aphathe indicate left ajike right.
Yeah.
Uzophatha phi because kunzima ngoku. iANC sizawukhokhela wena mjulu. Because azikwazi as parties bangadibana sizibethe. Uzophatha nini akacingi ngoku this coming 2024. Because nanku umbona nanku masipala akho nto izinzileyo. Electioneering. iANC izawina nangona izawina elections. iANC ingawina nangona sicele se-election izawina iANC nangona ngekho sure ipercentage bengakana kodwa akazi ukho mntu uzawuphatha kuzawuphatha iANC kodwa sabe siyephi thina sikafi sabe sekhona.
But abantu like bonke like convinced ba like ANC next year like by the whole mandate ba wonke umuntu ufuna ukukhetha iANC so that like bafuna uchange, but like that's all the people are saying but they want change but to see what abanye abantu bazokwenzana once banikwe power and stuff. So that's why basically like ANC must move out ngoku.
Yazi ilento yenziwa nguwe ngoku yalento ka YouTube. Electioneering is not done by social media. You go to communities
and talk to people.
You talk to people. You explain. You don't convince them. You explain the situation. People can listen. The groups ezininzi shopelaleni abantu basavotile i-ANC apha lena ye-social media into
Ayikho.
yezi-research thina sebantwini kaloku mna noba ndiyilida yena ndiseyilida eya emasebeni ndisasebenza nabantu
Usaphila ngabantu.
elalini ndimame noyimamele into ye-social media because le nto ithethayo nabantu bonke maphupha
Yeah, when does
Amaphupha nje, social
manifest,
media,
manifest.
absolutely.
Okay, like there was this thing about like the ANC, like the puppets, like abantu ba forefront, like or Ramaphosa and stuff. But like actually ANC is run by white people. Yabo. Like Ramaphosa is actually like puppet nje phanga phambili. Uyaxelela uba makenzeni. Even like his only decision that is not like based on him. Like into azicelwe uba makenze kanje na kanje. And that is it true? How true is that?
we need to separate the ANC from an individual. That's what we need to do. Presidents are coming and going, but the ANC remain.
Silicon.
The policy of the African Congress is an organization that is people-driven, people-centered. So we are here. I'm not talking about Ramaphosa. I'm not talking about I'm talking about the ANC because naye uzofika ahambe uba useyenziwa belungu yaziwa nguye loo nto leyo.
ANC ayingendawo.
Hayi singendawo.
Yithi yakho wayithatha
Yeah, singendawo thina kwisi-ANC.
I like ndayiva ndayiva and like into yenzikayo ngoku is that like the way le nto ye-load shedding like isenyukela rapidly day by day and indlela endibona ngayo is that like sothi sifika kwiminyaka ezayo if like akuzubakho change will be on blackout apha South Africa if like the ANC then step out and try to like solve this problem and then noba ingxaki ku-ANC noba iku-Eskom.
No, I'm still convinced i-load shedding izawuchange. They got nditsho zona i-Americans, they have got more than 600 companies that are operating in South Africa. There are many companies that are operated by the countries that are outside. So they cannot agree ubana kusose kube khona umbane uzawulayita iseyipolitiki le yenziwayo. I don't know noba bafuna ke unganationalize umbane uba basebenzise ezi-IPPs zabo bathetha zabo, but i-South Africa cannot go to a total collapse. That's what I'm saying.
laa nto ingathi it's just a strategy laa nto umbane
Strategy uzawubuya umbane wena sawuthi siya kwi-elections yakubuyela umbane.
Okay, like sayitshile ukuthi amncinci like yena how he feels about the elections ezayo next year, but like EFF is totally not winning and it like it's just internet public stand into ezenzayo Julius Malema and stuff, but ke like we'll see okay izothini izinto. Mna just feel like ndifuna uve ndibone ngamehlo into ezokwenzeka. I don't want to say uba kwenzeka ntoni nantoni, but indlela endibona ngayo is that like a lot of young people bayathetha and like bathi bona i-political party abayisupportayo nguJulius Malema and ngathi like andibone nalento beyenza bengumay umarch ngobe shut down
okwakwazi
shut down. I think like that was successful because like a lot of like businesses ezinye indawo ezingasebenzi like
no total shutdown. When you talk of total shutdown, it should not be an event. It should be a process. You check whether the impact that was done by Julius it was negative or positive, because the shutdown yakoyenza pha yaphazamiseka ewe kona soze bangananiseki bangayithi into shutdown bayijonga le ndlela bayenza ngayo, but kuke kwavalwa kaloku bekumala ngokunyama akusetyenzwa. That was the objective.
wavala iPretoria.
Hayi uyazingxolela nje nayo.
Ayadlalisa Julius. Hi guys, like we'll have another episode next time because damning like funeka kawulala and stuff. So we'll shoot this other episode maybe next week and we'll give you more insight on this topic about the things that are happening.